Hi and welcome to Whisky Shared. You're watching my review of Nikka Coffey Malt. I'm Toby and you're watching Whisky Shared. Welcome to my review of Nikka Coffey Malt. This is a single grain Japanese whiskey from Nikka and it comes from the Miyagikyo distillery. The whiskey itself is a single grain whiskey. It's made from 100% malted barley, but as it is made in a column still, it is a grain whiskey. The whiskey itself isn't technically Japanese or can't be classed as such because some of the old distillate originally came from Ben Nevis in Scotland and was redistilled as part of an experiment in Nikka's column stills. This particular whiskey is 45% ABV, it's matured in old ex-bourbon casks and it's £67. Shall we find out what it tastes like? On to the whiskey. So before I start nose and tasting, let's have a quick look at the colour. I'd say that's like a gold shade, but I'm not sure if this is actually coloured. If you do know, let me know in the comments. Let's start with the nose. Right, so the first thing I get with this is like a lemon zest. I'm also getting some biscuit. It reminds me of like lemon meringue pie. I'm getting some cinnamon. I'm getting some oak. There's also a hint of sandalwood. I'm also getting some orange peel. And there's also a bit of black pepper. Let's move on to the palate. Yeah, so the first thing I'm getting with this is like orange peel. Very similar to what I got on the nose. And then there's some sweetness like vanilla and toffee. I'd say it definitely has a nice mouthfeel, this whiskey. The sweetness really rolls over the palate nicely. Let's have another sip. I'm starting to get like ripe banana. Reminds me, with that toffee note, reminds me a little bit of banoffee pie. Really is nice and creamy. There's also some milk chocolate, which is really nice. And yeah, there's definitely a little bit of a spiciness going on as well. I'd say it's like a barrel spice or a barrel char. Really is nice. Let's have one final sip. Yeah, I'm starting to get a little bit of baking spices now, a little bit of cinnamon, and there's also like a black coffee note, which is really nice as well. In terms of finish, I'd say it's quite long. There's that sort of vanilla sweetness. There's also a little bit of dry oak, and there's also that sort of caramel sweetness as well. In terms of value, well, as I said, this is £67 in the UK. And I think for a non-age statement, 45% ABV, 100% malted barley, column still distilled whiskey, I think this is expensive. It obviously carries a premium because it's Japanese. But I think, yeah, it's a nice whiskey. It's a tasty whiskey. Obviously, I think if you were to look for something similar, you know, in the UK, I think you'd be paying considerably less. You know, I think the Scottish producers like Loch Lomond are obviously producing this sort of stuff in large quantities and it's dirt cheap. Obviously, I think this is potentially aged for longer. They've been making this particular whiskey for some time, but I think if this was £45 a bottle, I'd probably buy it again. But yeah, I think it's a nice thing to try. I think it's interesting, as there's not many producers doing 100% malted barley in a column still. So yeah, I think it was quite novel at the time when they first started making this. But as more and more producers are doing it, I don't think it's anything special. But it does show that they were fairly innovative when they started making this. But it's a little bit more commonplace now, and yeah, it's a little bit too pricey as Japanese whiskey has become popular and harder to get hold of. I don't think I'd buy this again, but if it was on offer, you know, if it was really cheap, I might buy a bottle of this again. But yeah, it's definitely one of those things, you know, you tick off your list because you are interested in trying it at least once, and yeah, I've done that. If you've tried this, let me know your thoughts in the comments as always. And if you haven't, and there's something similar or interesting, or, you know, column distilled, then yeah, share your thoughts, and I'll see if I can try those as well. Hopefully you found that interesting, and hopefully I'll see you again soon. Soncha.
I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, why not give it a like or a comment, and please consider subscribing for more videos like this.